The world's first injectable medication to reduce the risk of infection by HIV has been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The drug provides an alternative to taking daily pills for HIV prevention. So at-risk individuals will receive 2 shots spaced 1 month apart and then 1 injection every 2 months. In a statement, the FDA saying that it hopes that the availability of the drug will increase the uptake of pre-exposure prophylaxis medication. However, the price tag for this treatment is estimated at a whopping $22,000 per year. So how significant is this development in at least managing the HIV epidemic? For that, former president of the International AIDS Society and current head of UCT's Desmond Tutu HIV Foundation, Professor Gail Bekker, joins us via our video link. And Prof, it's great to see you and to get your insights as always. Thanks very much indeed for making time for us. Perhaps let's begin by placing how important this is. My understanding is that this particular drug is meant for HIV negative individuals who obviously don't want to contract the HIV virus. I mean, how different is it from existing medication as a start?
Yeah, so this is the notion of pre-exposure prophylaxis. In other words, it's prevention for people who don't have HIV, who may be exposed, and it protects them should they encounter the HIV virus. Now, at the moment, the option is to take a daily pill. And what we find, particularly with young people whose lives are full and busy, is that they find it difficult to do a daily intervention. And so their non-adherence to the medication makes it less effective. Whereas this medication, because it's a depot, you only have to turn up once for it, is more effective simply because of the better adherence.
I've seen reports that it's 100% effective. Is that accurate?
Well, in the trial that we ran here in South Africa, we pitted the long-acting injectable against the daily pill, and we found that it was 89% more effective in preventing HIV in people who had the injectable. So people can still skip taking the injection, and that again leads, of course, to non-adherence and a less effectiveness. But if you are taking the injection every month as prescribed, or every 2 months as prescribed, then it is very effective indeed.
Yeah. This has obviously been approved by the US FDA, which means that South Africa, according to my understanding, can't necessarily roll this out yet. I mean, what are the implications, for instance, of the US FDA giving this the nod?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the first step. The drug was developed in America, and so that's the first agency. But I know the company will be rolling out the dossiers to other regulators, and South Africa should be one of them. As I've already mentioned, we ran the clinical trials in this region, and so I think we will be seeing the dossiers here in front of our regulators. Hopefully it will be approved soon, but I think, as you've already alluded to, the most important thing is going to be how much it costs.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going. $22,000 a year is the figure that I've come across. I mean, that doesn't sound very sustainable, especially in a context like ours where the government here at home has done a lot of work in ensuring that, these pills are at least free for those who need them the most.
Yeah, and obviously for something like prevention, particularly in the public sector, it has to be free. There's been good data to show that, if people have to pay for something that they don't necessarily need in order for their survival, then that's going to fall to a lower priority on their list of things to buy. So, we do have to make it at least very cheap or in fact free, much as we do with condoms and other forms of prevention. In the public sector, in the private sector, obviously, with compensation, that may look different. But even still, if, we're hoping that figure is going to be much lower for us here in Africa. Otherwise, it really is a non-starter.
Yeah, I mean, and when you say making it free, what you're actually saying is that the government should potentially be paying for it. But this is all taking place in a context where we know that various departments, I beg your pardon, have received a major budget cut. How confident are you that the health department, for instance, will be able to foot this bill in a context where, frankly, there is an alternative?
Yeah, and that's the difficulty, and this is where, again, the HIV activist lobby needs to come into play, as it did 20 years ago with antiretrovirals being so costly, is, we need to really encourage these pharmaceutical, organizations to give us reduced costs here in low and middle income countries where the burden is highest, because it is going to be an investment case for our government. They're going to need to say, what is the bang for the buck here? And obviously, preventing HIV infection is very, very important. And there's a long-term, definite way to save money. But it's in the short term that we're going to have to be able to afford the drug. And so it's going to be important to see that drug price come in an affordable range.
Absolutely. Thanks very much indeed for putting that context. Much needed and appreciated. Professor Linda Gail Bekker, as always, is the head of UCT's Desmond Tutu HIV Foundation. Once again, Prof, thanks very much indeed.